And there is a last section, resolving ethical issues. That is the procedure you follow. We have gone through in detail ethical behavior. Whenever you come across an unethical behavior, you should not ignore it. You should actively seek to resolve it. You should first refer to the organizational what do you say, standards. What is the right word for that? Members should follow the established policies of his or her organization, including the use of anonymous reporting system if available. If the organization does not have established policies, members should consider any or all of the following causes of action. One, he should discuss that with the immediate supervisor unless he is involved. If he is involved, the next higher level. If the issue is not getting resolved with the immediate supervisor, with notice to him, you can take the issue to the next higher level. The another alternative is to discuss the issue with the IMA helpline, and you may also consider consulting your own attorney to learn of any legal obligations, rights, and risks concerning the issue. If the resolution efforts are not successful, then you may wish to consider resigning from the organization, disassociating from the organization. This is what we have seen. We will also recap each of the standards, principle and standard. Rahna has just joined. She has gone away again. Probably she may be having some issue with the Sean also has joined. Rahna, Sean, we are waiting for you. Yeah. Rahna, can you mute the audio? Nanma has joined. Nanma seemed to have some problem. I think, I mean, there is a genuine issue with the internet, then you cannot avoid it, means you cannot avoid it. But then, one way you can cooperate is by logging in bit earlier. Anyway, I am not getting that now. Okay, Ragna, we have been having a recap of what we have done in the last class, but I will again have a recap. I have a summary here. Members of IMA shall behave ethically, and the IMA statement on ethical professional practice include principles that express our values and standards that guide member conduct. The principles that express our values are for honesty, fairness, objectivity, and responsibility. Standards that guide member conduct are given in like standards. CCIs: competence, confidentiality, integrity, and credibility. 3344. There are 3 points in competence. There are 3 points in confidentiality. There are 4 points each in integrity, and credibility. Competence. You should maintain expertise, skills and expertise. You should perform your duties in accordance with the standards. You should provide decision support. And a new point added to that third point, recognize and help manage risk. The next standard is confidentiality. Keep information confidential except when authorized or legally required. Inform parties regarding appropriate use and monitor their compliance. Third, refrain from using information for unethical or illegal advantage. Right? But when it comes to using information for personal advantage, it is more of integrity. Right? Then integrity, conflict of interest. It's that's the first point which should come to your mind. That's the first thing. Mitigate actual conflict of interest. You should avoid apparent conflict of interest. Apparent conflict of interest means there is no actual conflict of interest. It appears to others that there is a conflict of interest, right? And you should communicate with others to avoid that kind of confusions with them. You should advise the parties concerned of any potential conflict of interest. Refrain from, second point, refrain from conduct that would prejudice carrying out duties ethically. You should also abstain from activities that might discredit the profession. And the fourth point added in the like the background of globalization and melting pot of culture within the organization, contribute to a positive ethical culture and place profession above interest of the profession above personal interest. That's in the standard. Then credibility. Credibility is not about the person but about the report. Communicate fairly and objectively. Provide all relevant information which may influence the reader's decision. Report any delayed deficiencies in the report. Communicate your own professional limitation which may preclude judgment. Then when you come across any ethical issues, do not ignore, actively seek resolution, but before taking up any action, consider the risk and threats you may face. Follow established policies if there are any. If no policies, then you may consider discussing with immediate supervisor unless he is involved. If he is involved, the next level. If the issue is not resolved with the immediate supervisor, then with his knowledge to the next level. IMA helpline is another point you can consider. Consulting your own attorney is also another point you can consider. There is no order here. These are bullet points, right? Still not successful in resolving the issues, you should consider disassociating from the organization. So we had a good review of the IMA CPP. Let's do all the questions. Ah, First question. If an IMA member has a problem in identifying unethical behavior or resolving an ethical conflict, what's the first action he should normally take? Go through the choice and give your answer in the class conversation. B. Discuss problem with his or her superior. Actually, when he has identified an unethical behavior, the first action he should take is to refer to the organizational policies. That's the first action. But it's not noted. It is not listed here. and then you have some other actions. But there is no order like first action, second action like that. But still, they have given some actions like which should be tried after you discuss the problem with your own immediate supervisor, right? You should not go to the board of directors unless the board of directors is your immediate supervisor. Sometimes board of directors could be your immediate supervisor if you are CEO probably, and if there is no particular committee of the board which is dealing with that particular issue, then probably the whole board of directors may be your immediate supervisor. But that's not general. Notify the appropriate law enforcement agency. It's a difficult point, but what is the confidentiality standard saying? Keep all information confidential unless it is legally required, not legally encouraged, right? There are so many legislations now which encourage people but not a strict requirement, right? So that's not what we mean actually. There, what to do, it's up to you, but only when it is legally required, you go disclose that to the government agencies, right? They are summoning you, the court issue subpoena. In those cases, you will have to really go give that to the enforcement agency. Otherwise, it's not really a good behavior to notify any suspected issues to the enforcement agency. Resign from the company, that's the last resort. Even in that resolving ethical issues, this is given as the last resort. Next, a new management accountant is concerned about complying with the ethical standards of competence. Competence has got 3 points: develop skills and record knowledge, perform duties in accordance with the standards and laws, regulations. Third, provide decision support system. Decision support, right? So all those things are there in the competence standard. Which one of the following is not required under the standard of competence? Maintain expertise in all areas of accounting. Maintain expertise is there, but is it possible to have in all areas of accounting? It's not possible, right? So, but maintain expertise is there. So, if nothing works out, we'll come back to that. Enhance knowledge and skills. Yes, you should definitely try to enhance knowledge and skills. That is correct. Perform duties in accordance with relevant. This is the point number 1 under competence. Perform duties in accordance with relevant regulations. This is point 2 under competence. Provide recommendations that are accurate, timely, concise. All that is point number 3 under competence. So these are specifically coming under competence. Maintaining expertise in all areas of accounting is not really possible for any human being. So that is what the now. Next, when is an IMA member permitted to communicate confidential information to individuals or other authorities outside the firm? Right? Unethical behavior exists on the board, and the board has refused to act. Right? Uh, can you say it's wrong? Permitted to communicate, especially when the law is really encouraging people. Such communication is legally required. This is really unambiguous. Such communication is legally required. He has to, and he is permitted to communicate confidential. Right? That's the first point under the confidentiality. Keep information confidential unless the disclosure is authorized or legally required. So we got the best point there, but let's read that. IMA member knowingly communicates the information indirectly through subordinates. That is not really a professional activity. So that is. Then an officer at the IMA member's bank has requested information on a transaction that could influence the firm's stock price. Um, and an officer, if you are authorized, you can, but if you are not authorized, you cannot. Then, an IMA statement of ethical professional practice requires an IMA member to follow the established policies of the organization when faced with an ethical conflict. So that is the first thing he should do. If these policies do not resolve the conflict, the member should, what the member should do? He has got various alternatives. Go into this and then give your answer in the class conversation. Oh, Sami has joined. Vimal has joined. But I'm not able to give you access for the video. Okay, Sami has given D. Terence also has given. Just stop discussing. Let me give you. Let me tell you another thing. I just remembered when Sami has joined. Sami is the only person who has answered the multiple choice quiz on the section we have covered. It's not applicable to Terence and John. You did not attend that. It will be coming as rolling for you. Don't worry. For others, they have been continuing. They have finished two sections already. Uh, not for John, not for Terence. Okay, for others. I've given a 20 question MCQ quiz on financial statement analysis. The last date I have extended by 1 day. 8th is the last date to give that because there was some issue which was pointed out by Sami and it is corrected. Now anybody can take it. And please take it. It requires some 40 minutes. Earlier I was not allowing you to pause. Now I even allow you to pause the test in between. But still it is better you take it in one go, so without pausing. 40 minutes is the time. I have given some extra time also. Usually you get only 36 minutes, 1.8 minutes maximum per question, but I've given you 40 minutes for the 20 question MCQ quiz. Please take it today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, like that. 5th, 6th, 7th. Do not leave it for 8th. Okay, so please do that. Okay, you have given D as the answer, that's correct. When you come across any unethical issues, you should not ignore, you should actively seek to resolve it. You should first refer to the established policies of the organization, including the use of anonymous calling system. If these policies do not resolve the conflict, then you have the alternative actions. If none of the alternative actions work, the issue is not resolved, then you may consider even disassociating from the organization. Consult the board of directors immediately? No, you should consult with your immediate supervisor first. That's wrong. Discuss the problem with immediate supervisors. Don't jump into the conclusion first. You should read it. If he is involved, unless he is involved in the conflict only, you go for that. So that is also wrong. If he is involved, there is no point in discussing it. Communicate the problem to authorities outside the organization. That you should do only when it is legally required or when you are authorized to. So you should not do that. Contact the next higher managerial level if initial presentation to the immediate supervisor does not resolve conflict. That's correct. So your answer D was right. And the last question, question number 10. Which of the following actions is required as an IMA member to uphold the standards of integrity? Go through it and give your answer in the class conversation. Okay, stop doing it. Terence has given B as the answer. So just let us discuss. Anyway, you had the time to go through it, right? Just let us discuss. Which of the following actions is required as an IMA member to uphold the standards of integrity? Refrain from engaging in any conduct that would involve the use of confidential information for unethical or illegal advantages. There in the standard, but where is it there? In point 3 of confidentiality. So this is not integrity standard. Refrain from engaging in any conduct that would prejudice carrying out duties ethically. What is that point? Refrain from engaging in any conduct that would prejudice carrying out duties ethically is point 2 under integrity standard. So Terence was right. B is the answer. But let's read the other one. Refrain from violating relevant laws, regulations, technical standards while performing professional duties. Which point? Point 2 under competence. Perform your duties, perform professional duties in accordance with relevant laws, regulations, and technical standards is coming under point 2 of competence standard. So that is not correct. Communicating professional limitations or other constraints that would preclude responsible judgment or successful performance of an activity. Where is it coming? Point 4 of credibility, right? That is what is moved from the competence standard to credibility standard. That's what people really read it, but it is not just moved, they have changed it also. It was recognizing professional limitations, recognizing and communicating. So they have removed the word recognizing, so it is purely credibility. So it is point 4 of credibility. So it is not integrity. So let's get into the next section, subunit. What is that about? Fraud and fraud risk model. Actually, some time back, it was ethics and risk management. Right? It was together given 2050. But now it is same thing, but risk management is having 10% weightage and ethics is given 15% weightage. But during that time, like we were considering fraud as a sandwich between these two topics. Fraud and fraud risk. Because when people don't have ethical consideration, they go into fraud. So an ethical culture, developing an ethical culture is very much essential for reducing fraud in an organization. society, we can say. But we are learning about workplace fraud. You know, whenever you talk about fraud versus error, that's the discussion coming into our mind. You all would have learned about fraud. Fraud is intentional, whereas error is unintentional. That is what. So that's what we all have got an idea about fraud. So fraud includes any intentional or deliberate act to deprive another of property or money by deception or other unfairness. That's what is fraud. So, like, you are doing some kind of things which you shouldn't be doing, which can affect other parties' welfare, right? It's deceiving other party, but it is not intentional. I mean, if it is not intentional, it is just error. But when it is intentional or deliberate act to deprive of to deprive another of property or money by deception, it is fraud. So when it is intentional, it is fraud. When it is not intentional, it is just error. But in both the cases, you are depriving another person of his property or money. But when there is an intention involved, like I think in legal it is called mens rea or something like that, the intention. Anyway, so that intention is very much needed, required to call that act as fraud. Go in that direction. Fraud against a company can be perpetrated or committed by internal parties or external parties. In the workplace fraud, we are dealing with fraud against the company committed by internal parties. You're talking about fraud committed by internal parties, not about the general frauds in the society, like others what they are doing. That's not the subject matter of this study. What was the topic of this? Ethical consideration for management within the organization, right? So internal fraud, when you talk about internal fraud, it can be classified into corruption. There, most of the ethics issues, the conflict of interest, bribery, all those things can come. But generally, it is to do with the ethical culture of the society or the person or the activity. So that is not really taken up in this IMA lawyers as one of the categories. What they want you to study are the two categories of internal fraud. One is misappropriation of assets and fraudulent financial reporting. It's not that this is not important, it is there. This is already, this is already considered there in the ethics, and we will be learning further also about that. It's not over. We will be talking about conflict of interest, bribery, corruption within the organization. That is more with the ethics, and ethical things actually there in the society's idea about wealth. Ethical sense is not there, and then people violate that ethical norms and get the society into problems, then they will require the legislators to enact laws, right? That's what is happening, right? So when society is misbehaving and they don't adhere to the ethical values, then lawmaking will be there. Most of the cases, law is irrelevant for a law-abiding citizen. Do you agree with what I say? Law is irrelevant for a law-abiding citizen. Does it matter for you that everybody should take care of their parents unless they go to jail? Does it matter for any of us? Does it matter for you that you should not unnecessarily punish your own kids. It is not, doesn't matter for any human being. But then human beings sometimes do not act as well. Then the law is required. So when people don't act ethically, then there will be an abundance of law. But when there is a law, we have to really see that, because that is evil. That is right. But anyway, we will cover that discussion in the latter portion, the second study unit. We will come back to that. But now, the types of fraud, the two categories of fraud, internal fraud, what is discussed in the LOS and coming under this study unit, are misappropriation of assets and fraudulent financial reporting. We'll go into that. So types of fraud they are discussing are fraudulent financial reporting and misappropriation. What is fraudulent financial reporting? Take the